As we know, Western Australia quota has been increased from 3,000 work permits to the 10,000 work permits. There are some things to understand. One thing is that why Western Australia quota is increased. As we know, elections are upcoming, and each party is trying to get favors, to want to get favors from the voters. Western Australia is also Labour government because there is Labour government in the Western Australia, and federal government is also the Labour. That's why federal government allowed Western Australia to decide about their work permit. As we remember, Western Australia requested federal government to increase the work permit, and federal government increased work permits from 3,000 to 10,000, which is a huge increase. And that is just because, first point is that is just because Australian federal government is also Labour and Western Australia government is also Labour. Now what Western Australia want? Western Australia is going to distribute these 10,000 work permit which are increased from 3,000. Why third time I told from 3,000 to 10,000? It's impossible. Where Australian government are fighting for capping of students, Canadian governments are fighting for capping of students and skilled worker. In that moment, if Western Australia, which is almost biggest part of Australia, increase work permit from the 3,000 to 10,000, suddenly there is some political favors. That's the point I wanted to understand. First point by point, you must understand my clip. All clips are point by point. Now, next point I will tell you. Now, what Western Australia, how Western Australia will use these 10,000 work permits? Western Australia has planned to use these 10,000 work permits. They will divide 10,000 work permits into two segments, 5,000 plus 5,000. 5,000 work permits will be given to the sponsored nominated work permits, mean normal work permits in which the companies who want to appoint any overseas worker, they will follow rules and procedures, and they can invite immigrants from the overseas country as the rule of Department of Home Affairs, that this is called employer nominated sponsorship, like 491 visa, right? 191491 visa. Now, issue is only one. 5,000 work permits are allocated for DAMA work permits. And now you can understand this is Labour government. These 5,000 work permits are the cash of voters, to attract voters. These are to attract voters. And 5,000 work permits are enough to satisfy the voters that we are doing something for you. Reason I tell you, DAMA mean you require these professions too much, and occupations, these occupations, labors are not present in Australia, and now we need severe these migrants, and even these migrants don't need any employer letter, not the employer nominated, and they are without job nominated. Employer nominated letter difficult. I tell you, a migrant, how the employers will search the migrant from overseas, and also agents are working all over the world. They are not giving work permits freely. Even in all developed countries, agents, representatives are present, and they are forcing companies to hire medium professionals. Even they are not highly qualified, but because they give money and they will be given offer of job. So there are little confusions. These 5,000 work permits through DAMA mean no employer is involved, no company is involved, state is involved. State, now what is the name of the state? State is Western Australia. Western Australia belongs, now mathematically you have to understand, Western Australia belong to which government? Labour. So Labours want to come again, although Labours were very harsh in migration. That was my first point. Where Australia is capping skilled worker, where Australia is capping student, where Australia don't want to see students, suddenly Australia says, Western Australia says, we had requested, and that request all provinces do in Canada also, and federal government is so humble and so soft. They told, oh, no problem, we can give you 50,000 work permit. You told only 10,000. How was your work permit quota? Your work permit quota was 2,000, but you demanded 10,000. No problem. You are labor government. You are our government. And what's you all doing to win the election? We are with you. If you will say us to issue 20,000, we will issue 20,000. So this is looking political game. In my one clip, I clearly mentioned by evidences student visas, skilled visas, capping, and these are to relate with housing crisis. It's 100% for election campaign. Normally in developed countries, citizen like Australian citizen become very happy when any political leader gives statement that we are going to stop immigration. He will be very happy, and he will always think that my government is thinking about me. Similarly, in US citizen, if the President Biden will say, that's the only criticism to President Biden. President Biden was better president of the world, America, until now, but only criticism due to which he might lose election. This is my prediction, that he is favoring migrants, illegal migrants more, and US citizens less. That is the claim of US citizens. Similarly, Australian citizens want their favors. Now you will be asking, DAMA rule, how Western Australia, a 5,000 work permit for DAMA will help Western Australia to win elections, because this is also favor to the migrants. It's not favor to the Australian citizen. Yes, you are true. Australian citizens know one thing, that developing countries purchase work permits. If you will give work permits to developing countries, mean that if the people are coming from the developing countries, the migrants, Australian citizens are not against migrant. They want only professional people come, work here and help us in our work, and they help us in our electricians work, they help us in plumbing works, they help in medical field, and they help us. But when company nominated visa work permits are issued, they are not happy. They think that companies bargain, because companies are not able to conduct interviews of the skilled workers, and they don't conduct interviews, and developing countries agents give money, because the people from the developing countries are ready to give huge thousands pounds money, dollars, even they are paying to UK, America, Canada also. Therefore genuine people will not come. When Western Australia will tell the Australian citizen that we are inviting 5,000 skilled worker, in which we will decide who is a genuine, who is not genuine, and we will give visas. This is called state nominated. Mean Western Australia demanded 10,000 quota, and telling 5,000 will go to employer, 5,000 is over quota. This is over quota, because we have to win elections. So that is the story. Thank you very much. And one thing more, which I would like to share. This quota is only of one province, Western Australia. Other Australia, what favors being given by federal government, that is also will be in my clip, in the next clips. Thank you very much.